Well, hello and welcome to Outdoor Oklahoma. I'm Todd Craighead. I gotta be honest with you, my living room is my favorite room in the house. It's because each one of these items brings back a special memory. And that's really not different for a lot of my co-workers at the Wildlife Department. It seems many of us like to bring our passions for our outdoors into our home decor. Well, today we're going to introduce you to a young couple, Allen and Fallon Couch. Now, Allen is a game warden for us at the Wildlife Department, and it's not unusual for couples to share a common interest, but what makes this couple unique is their common interest in trapping. Now, this is a result of not only Allen's career path with us at the Wildlife Department, but also Fallon's taste in home decor.
I love being outdoors. I like interacting with hunters. I like interacting with the fishermen. It's something that I also have a passion for, is hunting and fishing myself. So I like knowing where the game is and being able to pass that information along to people. How's it going, guys? Good. Everything all right? Okay. I know I'm a game warden and I write tickets and catch people doing wrong. I enjoy doing that, but probably more than that, I like the interaction with our legal hunter and fishermen of the state more than the interaction with the bad ones. I'm a game warden here in Haskell County, and Haskell County is a small little county. It's a real diverse little county. You go on the northern end of the county, and I've got Eufaula Lake, Canadian River, I've got the Arkansas River, I've got Kerr Lake. So, I can check a lot of fishermen. I have a lot of fishing activity on that end of the county. Also on that end of the county, I have some farm bottoms. So I've got a lot of waterfowl hunting activity. I've got large mountains with large pine tree plantations. Can drive through there and check maybe 20 people sitting at a hunting camp. In the wintertime, when there wasn't any deer hunting activity, I got started running into trappers. Seen their signs, but I couldn't find their traps. So I tried to, that first year, I tried to figure out how to work trappers and learn about trapping as much as I could. And so over that next summer, I had little success working those guys or even finding them. So that summer I picked up a few books, got a little interested in it, bought a few traps of my own, and I started trapping. And I fell in love with trapping. I felt like I was 16 again, or even younger than that, 12, 14 years old, getting up and going deer hunting. Well, you just can't wait, and you're just excited to get out in the woods. I felt like that again. Here I am, a 30-year-old man, and I can't wait to jump out of bed and go run my traps that morning. I felt like that young kid again that just got started deer hunting. So that's probably where it first started with me, and it kind of went from there. And then later on, I met my wife, and she wasn't a hunter at all, but she started going trapping with me, and she developed the same passion that I had for it. So we've kind of just developed into trappers together. We enjoy the pictures together, we enjoy the time in the field together, and so it kind of like that young hunter developing into a more of a hunter that just enjoys spending time out in the field. That's kind of what trapping has evolved for me too. A day in the field trapping, if I'm not successful, it's really a great day as long as my wife's there doing it with me.
I got started trapping just going with Allen. He was always interested in it, and I didn't really even know what that meant. And so I went just because it was an adventure, and I liked it. It was so exciting to get up every morning and go see what was actually there, and the different species that you didn't see, like fox. You hardly ever see them out and about, and so it was really exciting. I work inside all day. I don't have the luxury of being outside all the time, and so I love to see God's creatures and all the different variations of those. And so that's probably my exciting, just getting outside and just having some fresh air and some quality time together. I like that. I don't ever go by myself. I might need support. I do like to scout out as well. Like he has kind of showed me how to tell the differences in the traps and kind of what works on on different animals, and so I am learning still, but I do want the support of him coming with me.
My role is the helper. Sometimes I pick a spot that I think looks good, but a lot of times he'll pick the spot and I just help with getting his utensils or going and getting habitat to fill in the spots, sticks, brush, grass, whatever we need. But that's mainly my part. But every once in a while I do pick a spot and say, I think it needs to go right there. Sometimes we disagree, but.
Trapping is perhaps one of the oldest traditions of hunting. Throughout American history, trapping and fur trading have been a major industry. From the first colonists on the Atlantic coast to modern-day society, trapping has played an important role. Not only did people trade for furs, but they also trapped for furs and food. While those days are long gone, trapping remains a continuing tradition and serves many important purposes. Although trapping today is not about survival for most people, it is a tool of wildlife management and a form of recreation. Also, as it was for trappers in the past, the sale of pelts provides a source of income.
Trapping probably, to me, it gets a little bit of a lot of people think that it may be inhumane, but when you really think about it, you're in a wide, vast, open area, and I've got to figure out some way to coax the predator that I'm after into stepping on a 1 or 2 inch circle, and it may be in the middle of a 1,000-acre ranch, and I've got to figure out how to get that animal to step exactly where I want him to step. Yeah, we missed a coyote there just by an inch or two. He stepped right beside where my pen is. My pen's right there. I may want to scoot my step stick just a little bit over. Try to get him to step right over that and into the pen. There's a lot of challenge involved in it. It's not just right there and set a trap and you're going to catch an animal. That's not the way it goes at all. I set this brush pile because there's a road coming right between here, and I seen several tracks out here on the road, so I set this brush pile with a bone. I'd typically find bobcats around brush piles, hunting around brush piles, so decided to make a set right here, and we were lucky enough to be able to trap a bobcat here in this location. We'll remake our setup and try to press our luck and see if we can catch something else right here.
This is another kind of set we like to do. You can use anything. We like turtle shells. I don't know, it just looks like, along with the bones, like something to draw their interest. I can see an animal wanting to play and check it out, so we just pick up any kind of thing like that that we think might work.
This is what I like to refer to as just a scent post set. I use this is an old fence post. I think it's probably a boat arc fence post, but I like to use just some kind of that's real showy. If there's a coyote around here, that if he walks by this, he's going to want to come over here and pee on it. My wife, she doesn't necessarily like hunting, but she enjoys the decor. And so I kind of enticed her, I guess you might say, through the decor. My first bobcat that I trapped, I brought it to her right to work. She was at work, and I went into work and got her out from work and brought her back there. And first thing I see a day of successful trapping, I was able to catch my first bobcat, and I was really proud. my wife looked at it and seen decorations for our wall. But then along the way, she started going with me, and she started seeing the challenge of it as well, is not just as being able to decorate your wall with an animal, but as far as also being able to go out and actively scout and find tracks and be able to set a trap in those locations where you might be able to get that bobcat to step on it, or a coyote, whatever it may be that we're after.
One of the unique benefits of trapping is the ability to sell your furs and make a little extra money on the side. But Fallon admits that letting go of some of those very first furs was kind of hard for her. And so now that has turned into a house full of mounts and different kinds of furs. And we're going to go inside the Couch's house now and find out that trapping is more than just a sport. It's really become a way of life and something that both Allen and Fallon enjoy doing together.
When we first moved back to Stigler, I think it was our first year here, wasn't it? Mm-hmm. We were trapping a local ranch just not far from here, and we caught this bobcat down here. You remember the day we caught him?
Yes.
We caught the bobcat on top of a mountain overlooking the Canadian River. It's a really pretty location. It was it's actually one of my favorite places to trap. I've set traps in that exact same spot for several years.
We got a few things taken to the taxidermy, and then those things I thought that would be really cool. You know, the game warden having a house decorated like that. I love the decor. I always said I wanted to live in Bass Pro. So we just kind of went from there and got one more and maybe some more come later.
The deer up here on the top are probably some of my first mounts that I ever had. This one, I harvested this deer whenever I was about 16 years old. This deer was the very first deer I ever was able to harvest. It was a pretty good deer for a little 10-year-old, but this is the first deer I killed, and so it was probably my first mount I ever had. And so our collection of our mounts kind of got started probably.
Those were our first ones.
Yeah, these were kind of with our first two, I believe, weren't they?
They were.
Me and Fallon met, and she liked these mounts, and it's kind of went from there, hadn't it? So. I had a bad habit of I'd take stuff and try to sell it really quick, or sell some of the hides, and Fallon wanted to keep them for decor. Like she said a second ago, she always said she wanted to live in Bass Pro, so she kept a few hides for mounts, and we had a few things mounted, and that kind of slowly evolved into that. There's lots of different things in North America and even other countries that I won't ever get to have the opportunity probably to be able to go hunt, but we admire the mounts and the decorations to have in our home. So we've seeked out opportunities to be able to find some of those different mounts and to have them in our house and be able to enjoy them still.
We went to a taxidermy auction in Fort Worth, and I walk in and it's like both sides of the whole thing was just full. I mean, and when I say full, it's like this to the 10th power. It was just stacked everywhere, and I was like, oh, I didn't bring enough money. But we come home with a few great pieces. These are fox hides that we actually got when we were on a vacation in Alaska. Arctic fox, blue fox, and a cross fox, and it's a mix of a red and a gray fox. When we actually got to port, the first port that we stopped in Alaska was Juneau, and Juneau's not very big, so we went around and around, and there were no fur stores open, and my face just sunk. Alan said, "Don't get discouraged, we're here, we'll find something." So we found a trading post, and we actually got a couple things from there, and we went on, and in a different port we found the others. But
that was kind of one of our deciding factors to go to Alaska, was to be able to buy the chance to buy a few fur pelts that we wouldn't have the chance to have here. So I guess some husband and wives are apparently or don't have a wife apparently like mine. You sit down as a family and you do a family budget. If you look at our budget, there's lights, bills, food, taxidermy. So, and that is the truth. Whether
It
it's
is
a
the
taxidermy,
truth. It is the
a
truth.
line in our budget, or Fallon's budget, I guess I ought to say, that is definitely her input. I say it several times that, I enjoyed trapping to start with and the challenge of it, but now more than anything, it's if it's a day that Fallon has to work and I don't get to take her with me, it's not as much fun that day. So I enjoy having her with me more than anything now. It's like she said, it's just a little bit of time to spend together outside. We joke about it all the time, but it's a little bit serious that, as a married couple, you'd like to think of your wedding day as being one of the best days you've ever shared together. And our wedding day was a really good day and a really special day, but probably looking back, we have one certain day that was that we were out trapping together, and it was probably, I don't know, it was what? I bet it was 15 degrees outside. It was really cold. Snow and sleet just blowing, and we happened to have catch a bobcat that day, and we got some really great pictures with her and the bobcat and me and the bobcat and all the snow, and our faces are all red. We were huddled around a four-wheeler together trying to keep our fingers warm and stuff, and it was just a great time in the field together. And I think that's the number one thing about the trapping that we love more than anything, is just something to share together and do together. It's not spending separate time doing separate things. It's doing something together that we both enjoy.
Our lives get so busy, and so if we don't take time to do things together, then we drift apart, and that's not what we want.
Well, Bill, sitting here is surrounded by many of my own personal trophies. I was kind of surprised when the Couches mentioned that they had purchased some of their taxidermy around their home. I thought that was illegal in Oklahoma.
It was for quite some time, Todd, but in more the recent time, it's become legal in certain manners. You can sell certain parts of wildlife by itself. A deer antler that's completely cut off of the skull plate or is completely fallen off of the skull plate can be sold legally. A deer hide can be sold. As far as complete mounts, there are several ways that you can sell them. You can sell them if they come from a farm cervidae, which basically that means a farm-raised deer. It was never in the wild. You can sell them if they came from a commercial hunt area. If they're killed on or harvested on a commercial hunt area, you'll receive tags and paperwork. That mount can be sold because it never was wildlife either. There's a couple ways that you can sell wildlife. You can get an estate sale permit from the wildlife department. If someone has passed away or they're downsizing, going into assisted living or into the nursing home, and someone's responsible for their estate, you can sell their estate with the permit. It'll list on it what you can sell, and you give the buyer a receipt. They can't resell it. It's just a one-time sale to liquidate the estate. You can also sell items that have been left with taxidermists. They can't sell them for a profit, but they can sell them to reclaim some of the money that they've lost doing the work for customers that they failed to pick up. There's some rules with how you can do that, but if you follow those steps, you can sell those. Those can't be resold either. They're just sold one time to liquidate the problem that's created.
The Couches sure enjoy trapping together as a couple, and I've really never done any of it. So there are a few regulations I need to be aware of before I get started, right?
There are several specialized regulations with trapping, and that's because of some of the conflict and some of the things we want to be more careful that as we practice that sport. You have to have a trapping license if you're trapping fur bearers or anything that commonly has a value, like coyotes, raccoons, bobcats. You have to use legal traps, which they're defined in the hunting regs, whether it be live traps, trigger traps, smooth jaw traps. If you use smooth jaw traps, you have to post your area that you're trapping at the entrance off the roadway or off the highway. You can't set them in pathways or smooth areas where animals like dogs normally travel or people, just for the animals' protection. If you're trapping on some of our public hunting areas, the traps are a little more restricted in what you can use and what you can't use, just to make them a little more user-friendly.
One of the reasons, Bill, that I probably haven't ever really tried trapping is because it's a pretty time-consuming sport. You've got a big investment of time.
It is time consuming. There's a lot of work in getting traps ready, getting them prepared to set. Once you set them, you have to check these traps once every 24 hours, which will involve a lot of time, gas, transportation, depending on how far your traps are set from one another.
Well, thanks for joining us today. For all of us at your wildlife department, I'm Todd Craighead, and we'll see you right here next time on Outdoor Oklahoma.